here at the bridge again. We had a goodly amount of rain recently, and in fact I was here shortly after it rained, a day after the big rain, I guess. And I was here with a couple friends of mine, and you see all that stuff piled up against the bridge there. Oh, there was a lot of stuff like that, and I mean, you can see there are entire trees, but there was a bunch of stuff like that floating downriver. And one of my friends said, "It looks like a beaver dam washed away or something." And shortly after he said that, we saw something moving right over there, close to the other side, and it was obviously moving substantially faster than the current, and it was a beaver. Then a few minutes later, it was going downriver, and a few minutes later, it showed up right about there on this side, came up out of the water, and or stuck its head up out of the water, swimming, and then got a breath, I guess, and went back down. And then we saw it again right over there. So it was headed back upstream. But you can see there's a lot of stuff piled up there now. But anyway, let's look at the fishing kit, the tank bag fishing kit in the final form that I came up with. Okay, hopefully this will work. I brought a little tripod that I've never used before, portable tripod, and it's pretty light duty, and I hoped it was going to be tall enough to be usable, but it's not as tall as I would like, so I have it kind of standing on the motorcycle precariously, but maybe we can work with it. So anyway, I'm sure a lot of you know what kind of box this is. I'm not going to go into it because then that would require that I change the classification of the video, which I don't want to do. Let me get around on the other side. Okay, so this includes a lot of items from the little kids fishing kit that I showed in part 2 of this series, and also the monofilament line, the light duty or lighter duty monofilament line from the military kit. So a couple of different sized bobbers, a jig, little yellow jig, some cricket hooks, a white jig, some swivel snaps, a plastic jig, tail spinner, and some split shot sinkers. So those items are all that you really need to be able to get some fishing action going. And you can actually even use it as a hand line, but as I've demonstrated in a previous video, you can also cut yourself a sapling or something of some kind of weed tree and make your own fishing pole, which I kind of threw to the side when I made that video, thinking perhaps I would use it again, and I just might. But let me show you another item I've added, and this is not going to be part of the always with the bike thing, or it's not a tank bag item, I should say. So it won't necessarily always be on the bike when I go for a ride. But I bought this online, and it's a telescoping fishing rod. It's a pretty big one. You can see compared to my hand, that's large diameter at the base, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sections, and it's just under 10 feet long, I think. So yeah, that opens up into a pretty good sized fishing rod. Now, I haven't been able to find a lot of my fishing gear, and this rod is intended for a spinner reel. I think that's what it's called, the kind that dangles underneath and has an open face. And I like that type of reel. In fact, I prefer that type of reel. But I have several of them, but the only one I could find was a small one that's on my one-piece ultralight kit, or ultralight rod, I should say. And I don't want to take it off that one, so I decided I would just buy a cheap reel and slap it on here. And so I bought this Shakespeare Durango, and if I'm remembering right, I have one of these. I've had Zebco 33s and things like that, and in fact, I have somewhere a really good Shakespeare reel, all metal, from my granddad gave it to me, and he told me it was made in the 40s. And I used that when I was a kid. And I still have it somewhere, I hope. But when I was a kid, I think they were making these, and actually my younger brother had one like this, and I had something else, probably a Zebco 33, because we both got new rod and reels at the same time. And the one he had was one of these, plastic job, but it was dark green. But I believe it was a Shakespeare Durango. Now this is just, a little bit over $5, and that's why I bought it. I was like, well, it'll be better than, just using a hand line, and it'll do what I need it to do for right now. So that means that, this design is supposed to go on top. This rod is designed for that type. So what I'm going to do is hang it underneath and use the rod in the correct orientation, and just basically use the reel upside down, and use my finger on the brake, and then that means that I'll have to turn the crank backwards, but that's okay. That'll work. Here's something pretty cool. I had forgotten how a lot of times when you're trying to deploy a jig, there will be paint in the eye of the hook, so you can't get it on the line, can't get the line or the swivel through it. And I was trying to scrape the paint off with my Swiss Army knife, and then I remembered that there are a couple of other items my Swiss Army knife has. This is the Swiss Champ that, when I noticed it, I was like, I guess there could be some application for that at some point, but not really likely. But, you know, it's not like it uses up a noticeable amount of space, or any space actually, or a noticeable amount of weight. But anyway, here is something. It has a straight pen. And of course it also has, and I did see a lot of potential for this, but it has a small pair of pliers, so that'll work well for holding the straight pen. So let's see how that works. There's more traffic today than usual. Glad nobody's coming down here. Hope nobody does. I noticed on my Tinker Deluxe that it has the hole for the straight pen, but doesn't actually have a straight pen. So I've been meaning to. I looked around. I thought I had some straight pens somewhere, but I couldn't find any. That's a common refrain for me. But I've been thinking that I need to get some straight pens. There it goes. Now we got a hole through it. So there we go. Anyway, so I've been thinking I need to get some straight pens, and since I can't find any that I used to have around, you know, plenty of them, or maybe I just need to, it's time for me to buy a new button-up shirt that comes folded and held together with straight pens. That's probably a better thing to do. That way I get several of them, along with something that I need anyway, some new flannel shirts. But anyway, once I looked at my Tinker Deluxe Tinker, Victorinox, I saw that it has the hole for the straight pen, so I need to get one and put it in there, because you never know. And it's got the pliers too. That's one of the things it has compared to, say, the Super Tinker that I used to carry. Look at that. There it is. It's like a little bass. Okay, let me get it up here. I'm kind of hung up on that branch a little bit. So look at that. That's a nice little eating sized fish right there. Yeah. Alright, he spit out the hook. I'm going to let him go. But he would be a good eating sized fish though. Absolutely.